mean, I don't know if there are very few truths that are more fundamental than this one. So parasites are typically simpler than their hosts, so they can breed faster. And what that means is that in an arm race between host and parasites, the parasites can win because they breed faster, so they can evolve faster. So sex evolved to confuse the parasites. Imagine that the best way for your genes to replicate themselves would be for you to breed parthenogenetically. You just clone yourself. There's no reason for a sexual partner. When you have a sexual partner, half your genes are left behind. That's a big cost to pay if the goal is gene propagation. The parasite problem is so immense that sexually reproducing creatures, and that's the bulk of creatures that there are, sexually reproducing creatures are willing to sacrifice half their genes to mix up their physiology so that parasites can't be transmitted perfectly from generation to generation. So the parasite problem is so immense that it caused the evolution of sex, and creatures will sacrifice half their genes to prevent it. So what that implies, like we have this whole new digital ecosystem, right, which is a biological revolution for all intents and purposes. It's a whole new level of reality. And the parasite problem is very likely to be overwhelming. I mean, we have police forces, we have laws, we have prisons to deal with parasites in their human form. But now we have a whole new ecosystem that is amenable to the invasion of the parasites, and they are coming like mad. I mean, in all sorts of forms. I mean, we don't even know how extensive the problem is to some degree, because there's not just the criminals that you talk about. They're bad enough, or they're bad, but we also have the online troll types who use social media to spread derision and to play sadistic tricks and games and to manipulate for attention. And we know that they're sadistic, psychopathic, Machiavellian, and narcissistic because the psychological data is already in. They fall into the parasite category. And we also have all that quasi-criminal activity like pornography. And so it's certainly possible that if the internet, in some sense, is a new ecosystem full of new life forms, that it could be swamped by the parasites and taken out. That's what you'd predict from a biological perspective, looking at the history of life. And so this is an unbelievably deep and profound problem. See, I kind of think this is one of the main dangers of this untrammeled online criminality, is that societies themselves tend to undergo revolutionary collapse when the parasites get the upper hand. And it's definitely the case by allowing the unregulated flourishing of parasitical criminals online that we really risk destabilizing our whole society. Because when those sorts of people become successful, that's very bad news for everyone else. It doesn't take that many of them to really cause trouble.